Hello, this is Jo from Oops a Daisy, and today we will be setting up my May monthly spreads. I'm going to use the theme from this month's mini one as my theme for the month, which is Eat the Frog. You can find out all the details about our mini one monthly subscription. I'll pop a link in the description below the video if you're interested. But for now, let's get going with setting up the spread. So if you are new to journaling or new to Dutch doors, basically the concept involves cutting away part of your page so that you have a permanent dashboard that is visible over several page spreads. I'm going to be doing a horizontal Dutch door, which means that I'm cutting a strip horizontally across the page. And before I do anything with scissors, I'm going to measure it out using a pencil, just making sure I know exactly where I'm going to cut. I know a lot of you have expressed concern about wanting to experiment with Dutch doors but being a bit frightened or hesitant to cut your pages, and all I can say is that I 100% would recommend them. They're one of my favourite types of journal spread. As you will see if you rummage through our past videos, I use Dutch doors a lot in my journal, and remember, it is just paper, so worst case scenario, you cut the page, you don't like it, turn the page, new spread. Really, just experiment, and you never know, it might be for you. So I'm cutting across all of those pages, and now I've got the kind of nuts and bolts of what my Dutch door will be. And in order to fix those pages down, a lot of people when they're doing this sort of Dutch door will cut all the pages out from the spine so that you've got like that empty part at the top. I don't like to do that because I think it weakens the notebook, but also you get like a dip when you're on the next pages where there's not as many pages as there should be in that section of the book. So what I'm doing is cutting one of the strips away, but I'm not cutting right into the spine. I leave about a centimetre of that kind of flappy piece there, and then I'm going to stick down the top piece on top of it. So hopefully this will be clear in the video. I did last month have some issues with my glue. I forgot to bring my glue dot roller home, so I ended up using double-sided tape for the whole spread, which was a bit of a nightmare. This month I've decided to give this Snowpack twin tip glue a go. What I've discovered is that liquid glue really isn't for me. It kind of just wrinkles the page a little bit, and I don't like how messy it is. So I think next month I will just go back to my glue dot roller because it's what works best for me. So now once I've got all of the structure of the Dutch door set up, what I like to do is go across all of my cut edges with washi tape. I like the fact that it gives it kind of a nice finished edge, and also it marks out where that cut edge is. So going across with a strip of washi across every double page spread. So the same washi I'm using the whole way through, which is the washi from the Eat the Frog mini one, which is adorable. And just being careful to try and match it up to the cut edge so that it's not going over the top but not leaving a little bit of paper above it, so kind of lining it up nicely and then cutting it neatly at the end of each page. So my next job is to make some tabs for the tops of each of the individual pages within the Dutch door. I actually couldn't find my tab maker stencil, so what I've done is just create some very crude strips of green dot grid paper. I'm going to create one. They are just going to be folded over and adhered to the top of the page, and once I've created one, then I can replicate it 4 times, I think, so that I've got one for each page. So this is what I'm doing now, just copying it over. Now, we did have a tab maker stencil that was in the 12 Days of Summer subscription box. It was a pocket stencil, really popular. So what I think I'm going to do is create a classic version that can be stored in with your classic stencils, and launch it as part of our Bujo Basics range, which will be going live, I think, in June. So if you did want a tab maker stencil, there is one coming. But in the meantime, I have just made these very crude strip tabs, which have worked for me. I'm now just cutting them so that they're the right size so that I can fit 4 across the spread, and then I'm going to stick them down with some double-sided tape. So now the tabs are stuck down, I am decorating them just with some little stickers from the mini one. I'm using the little frog's legs and the eat the frog icons, just because I think they are super cute, and add a little bit of decoration to my tabs. You could write the dates of the week on them, or mark them out in whatever way that you wanted. I have got 3 actual tabs, and then I've made a mock tab on the last page just so that it looks like it kind of lays out the way that it should do. At this point, I am going to get decorating and creating my monthly spread, and I decide that this spread is not green enough already, which is ridiculous because anyone that follows It's Daisy will know that green is my least favourite colour, but I've gone full in with the green for this month spread. And I'm using our skinny green washi tape to go with the green froggos. In the end, there ends up being like 5 shades of green in this spread, which I really like. It definitely gives to the whole eat the frog vibe. So just putting a couple of strips of washi tape across, just to mark out and decorate the edge of the page, really. No real function to this. Okay, to create my monthly spread, I'm using our vertical days and dates washi tape, And Kate, aka Snail Scribbles, has designed this so that each of the numbers fits into the 5mm dot grid, so it's perfect for any of our journals. Most bullet journals are a 5mm dot grid. So all I'm doing is laying out 1 to 31 with the numbers, and then alongside that I'm going to use the days of the week just to so that you know what day is what date. And it is basically the quickest monthly spread setup you will ever do because you don't have to write anything out. I'm just going to add the header in using the Eat the Frog font that came with this month's Daisy Says subscription, which is our font stencil subscription. And I'm basically just going to write this header out, and I will colour it in at a later date just so that I know what month I'm looking at. It's time to add a little bit of decoration to the spread, so I'm going to draw Anthony Hopkins, who is our really cute frog character. So I'm drawing the front part of his body first of all, which is his head and his front legs, just so that I can position him nicely. So tracing around that with my black fine liner, I use a 04 Pigma Micron. I'm then going to add in his facial features, so his eyes and his mouth. And you will need to add his pupils and his nostrils in yourself, which is what I'm doing now, just because they're too teeny to go on a stencil. And obviously some eyebrows. And then after that, I'm going to put his back legs and just place that behind and just trace the pieces that you would see. So going around his legs and his tummy. And there you have it. That's Anthony Hopkins. How adorbs is he? And now you can see I'm just adding in a header for this page, which I'm calling my brainstorm page, and using the same Eat the Frog font, I will add in a little lily pad to the left hand side of it just to make it more froggy. And then I'll add my title to the monthly calendar as well, so I'm just using the same lettering the whole way through this month's spread. So something I like to do when I am setting up a calendar in this way with the vertical washi tape is just highlight the weekends using a coordinating colour. This is a green koi brush pen. It actually came in this month's mini one. You get one every month that coordinates with the things in the box. But I like to do it just so that it breaks down that calendar and makes it visually easier to see when is the weekend and when is the week. And then I split the calendar into two right down the middle so that I can have my work tasks one side and my personal events the other side, just to make it really clear what's going on in my month. So when I look at it visually, I can see how busy I am when I have gaps. Yeah, I'm quite a visual person, so having that overview is really helpful. And then I'm going to go in and start colouring these headers. This is quite a tedious process. I do jump about, colour in a header, then go to set up a monthly spread and jump around. So yeah, it just breaks up that colouring a little bit. I've now finished colouring in that header and I'm going to crack on with setting up my weekly spreads. I have decided that for this month I want to include a photo in each of my weekly spreads, and with a little bit of researching have found that the blue rainbow box, actually from our B5 rainbow boxes I believe, fits exactly a sprocket photo. So I'm going to use that as the structure for my weekly spread. I'm going to include the photo in the bottom right hand corner, which I've already drawn in, and then I'm going to trace over and make a weekly spread with 6 boxes across and then 1 box either side on the second row. I hope that makes sense. What I do discover in a second is that I have positioned that box on the right hand side in the wrong place, so I do have to use my trusty white out pen and cover over it and do a bit of finagling. Sadly, this is not the only mistake in this month's spread, as you will see in a second, but yeah, what I hopefully will show you is that when there are mistakes, there's always ways to cover them. So I'm going to go over the box using my corrector roller and then trace the box where I want it in the right place so that it lines up with the top row. I mean, I could have just left it, but I quite like things to be lined up and I think it would have just done my head in. So I have fixed it, and then I go in and cut a coordinating piece of green paper and basically use it as a drop shadow. I'm going to add in my dates to each of these boxes using the stickers that come with the mini one. They coordinate with the box. So another shade of green just to layer on top of all of my greens. So going through and putting the dates in, and then I'm going to put the days of the week in as well. Another thing I've decided to do this month is to add an area to each of the daily boxes where I will place my Eat the Frog task. So my one task that I want to get completed each day. I'm using the green koi brush pen to add that area, just as another layer of green on the spread. And you'll see here that I'm just adhering this little square of green paper that I've used to cover up my corrector pen, and once I have my photo for the month I'll place it on top of that so it kind of is a drop shadow and you will never know that there was a mistake. Ta-da! So I'm going back now to the first page just to colour another header in. Excuse me as I jump around from weekly spreads to colouring headers. But in a second you will see why I should have just set it all up in one go and how this has not worked out for me. So we are approaching the time for you to spot the deliberate mistake. This is the point of which I realise that I've made a fundamental error in the setup of this journal. Here we go. So in case you missed it, I've created a Dutch door and I have began setting up my spreads, a double page spread into the Dutch door. So that basically means that I'm not going to have enough spaces for all of my weeks, which is what I've just realised now, and that I have a blank double page spread at the beginning of my month that has no purpose. So what's basically going on in my head right now is realising that I'm filming myself. So pretending like I'm busy colouring this header in whilst manically in my head trying to figure out how am I going to fix this spread. I could put a week at the beginning, but that I think is just, yeah, even for me, gonna just drive me up the wall. So yeah, how am I going to fix this? So what I decided to do is add in another double page spread at the end of the Dutch door, which I will show you in a second, and then use the double page spread at the beginning as a kind of brain dump task list area for the month. So I do manage to sort it out, but it does take some finagling. This spread as a whole has been a lot of fixing errors. So here's my, at the moment, which is the last double page spread. I take off my fake tab and I cut all the way across with scissors, so essentially adding another double page spread into the Dutch door. So just going to use my trusty craft knife to add in that last piece, and then I'm going to stick that piece down using some double-sided tape. I didn't want to add in more wet glue, just thought it would make it a bit too wrinkly and heavy, so I used some double-sided tape to stick that down, and then go about decorating it like I have all of my other pages, with a strip of washi tape across the top and creating another tab so that it is its own standalone page. So yeah, this month has been a bit of a nightmare in terms of the whole thing, really, from start to finish. The spread didn't go to plan, and this is actually the second time that I have edited and done a voiceover for this video, because I did a whole voiceover, uploaded it to YouTube, even had a premiere, and it got 30 minutes into the video and then crashed, so everyone watching didn't get to see the end of it. I then went back to download it again in my video editing software and found that the voice file had got completely corrupted, so I'm now having to re-record my voiceover. So if you've watched this before and you're watching it again, I don't know if you can spot the differences in my voiceover. I've tried to say very similar things to the first time round, apart from this section, obviously. Yeah, Eat the Frog has been a catalogue of errors, but I do end up really liking the spread, and I hope you've enjoyed watching how I fix mistakes, because I think that's a really important part of journaling. I see a lot of people talking in our Facebook community about getting quite stressed if they make errors on their pages. And yeah, my whole vibe is that it's just paper, there's always a way to fix it, which hopefully I've shown you today. So now I've added in that double page spread at the back of the Dutch door. I'm just going to decorate the empty double page spread at the beginning of the Dutch door so that it has a purpose. So I'm going to use the postcard from our monthly one, which is this really cute Journaling Makes Me Hoppy postcard with Anthony Hopkins on the front of it. And then on the left hand side of that page, I'm going to create a little task area. I'll highlight some sections so that that's where my big task will go, and then there'll be an area underneath for all of the smaller tasks, kind of a just a control center for the month. So it actually ends up being a really useful double page at the beginning of the month. So even though it was unplanned, I will still use it. And once I've got that done, then it's about replicating that weekly spread across the other 3 weeks that are in the month. We are getting close to the end, guys. I know this bit is a bit repetitive, but this is the bit that goes very quickly. I'm just setting up my weekly spreads. What I always do if I'm doing this kind of monthly spread where I've set up the weeks in advance is set up the main structure of the page, which is what I'm doing now. Add a box for each of the days. I've got a box for a photo, and then I add in the days and date stickers. But I leave a big part of that page unfinished because it allows me to amend it based on what I need in that week. So I don't know if I'm going to need a task list. Am I going to need somewhere to track habits? Will I need to doodle things? So having that kind of open space and not having it predefined, I find really works for me when I'm setting up a month in advance like this. So I'm just going to go through and finish those spreads, and I will catch you at the end. I'm just finishing off the last little details on the spread, adding some colour to the lily pads, to the Froggo footprints, and to Anthony Hopkins himself using the Koi brush pens. And that is very close to being finished. I will catch you at the very end of the video with a flip through of my finished pages. So if you stuck with me during that somewhat stressful monthly journal spread setup, thank you. First of all, I wanted to just do a quick recap. This is a voiceover at the time of holding my journal rather than after, just so that it syncs a little bit better. But I was going to recap what I've used to set up this month. It was very hectic. So the big star of the show is the mini one, which is where all of these stickers and stencils were from. The washi tape, the coordinating pen, and then the font stencil was from the Daisy Says subscription. So if you subscribe to the monthly combo, you get the mini one and you get Daisy Says, and you save on postage and you save 15%. So what I've created is a few more pages than I'd set out to create. So I've got a monthly to-do list, and I'm going to put my big tasks at the top there. I've got my monthly overview, a brainstorm page, and then a page for each week. I have added a slot here to add a photo, and just as a recap, the blue rainbow box from the B5 rainbow boxes is the right size for the pictures from my sprocket. So I've made a slot so that each week I can put the photo in of the week, and I've also added a highlight each day, and that will be my eat the frog task. So my one task that I want to get finished each day, keeping it, like, narrowing it down to real productivity, and also tuning into the eat the frog theme. I hope you've enjoyed this week's spread, this month's spread, even if it was a bit hectic. Hopefully it demonstrates what to do if you royally fudge your spread, how to kind of tweak it and get it so that it's functional again. What I tend to do after I set out my month is I include my highlighter, a highlight colour, and my pen, and pop them all in my Daisy book buddy case, which was from the Into the Wild subscription box, a couple of subscription boxes back now, so that I've got the highlight colour to kind of cross off my tasks for the whole of the month ahead. And that's it, we're done. Thank you for sticking with me. Please hit subscribe, we'd really appreciate it, and drop in the comments anything you'd like to see going forward.